Interesting one, because for Manchester City, they're looking to get momentum behind their season. They've had a really good couple of weeks. They want revenge for Manchester United beating them at the Etihad. But for Manchester United, it's a chance to just edge a step closer to possible Champions League qualification. So who's it more important for, do you think?
Man United. I think that you have to look at Manchester City. The first leg they've done brilliantly in the Champions League, but they're going to be in the Champions League next season. Man United, for me, have to be in the Champions League, and I think they're showing the kind of form now where you can see that they probably could make it, but these are the games that they need to win to get it over the line, and to give them so much confidence if they can win this one as well.
And the fact that they've done it before at the Etihad as well means that they can be confident going into it.
Yes, especially with the run that they're on at the moment. But again, you just don't know what you're going to get with United at the moment. One minute they're playing fantastic football, next minute they just don't turn up. But with City, we know what they're going to bring. So it is definitely going to be a tough game. I think the big question is what team is he going to put out against Man City? And I think that will determine on how they're going to play and what United are going to obviously bring against City.
Is it the case, do you think, Jules, that Manchester United do need to be playing Champions League football next season?
I think financially we can say how good their results are and how much money is still coming in. There's a point where if you keep missing out on Champions League, and they didn't do last season, but they did this season again, it will hurt you. It will cost you. And players like Paul Pogba or players like Anthony Martial or Marcus Rashford at some point might say, like, I need to play Champions League football for my career, for my image, for everything. And I think a club like United, especially in the rebuilding job they're doing at the moment, whoever is the manager next season have to play in the Champions League.
That rebuilding job not going too badly against Manchester City, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is hoping to become only the second manager to beat Pep Guardiola 3 times in a season. Steve Bauer sat down with the Manchester United boss earlier this week.
Last derby, you put together a plan, you beat Manchester City. As the United manager, what was that feeling like?
Well, when you win these games, it's fantastic, of course, when you see the players getting what I feel they deserve. They've been fantastic a couple of times at Etihad this year, so hopefully we can do it at Old Trafford as well.
I just wonder though, when that full-time whistle goes, having been a player here and knowing what that fixture means, what that feeling's like as the person who's led the elation for all those supporters behind the goal.
You're happier for the players and the supporters than you're for yourself as a coach. It's relief and a sigh of you can relax a few hours and then you move on to the next one. I've never ever had that kind of personality to sit back and let's have a drink and really enjoy this tonight and think about what we've done, how great that was. It's like, yeah, evaluate it quickly and then move on, because there's a new challenge just around the corner.
But in this city, I was looking this morning, you're the last United player to score at Main Road, and that's about the only positive that
from
day.
that game, definitely.
But you know what it means, the highs and indeed on that particular day, the lows for everyone connected with the two clubs.
It's miles more important now than it used to be when I came to the club. I didn't feel that derby feeling against Man City early on, or it took a few years before we played them. That was because they weren't at the top level at that moment, but now you can feel the rivalry much more. Of course they've come, we know all about the noisy neighbour, and they've really done well, and this game has grown in magnitude for me, and the bragging rights, that's more than just Monday morning. Now it lasts longer, and we've got to speed that up, because we've been behind them in the league too many years now.
Bruno Fernandes, be honest with me, did you think he'd make such an instant impact that it's got the whole Premier League talking, not just Manchester United?
I knew
fans?
his quality, and I knew that he would eventually score goals, create goals, but he's had a great impact on his teammates, on the club, on the supporters, and he's a Man United player in the way that he takes risks. He wants to play forward. He wants players to run in behind for him. He doesn't care if he loses the ball, because if you lose it that way, there's no worry. We can go and win it back. So, and he has a go. He has a dig. He's got loads of shots. He passes the ball into the box and he demands of people. So He's done what we hoped for, but we maybe couldn't really think that he'll come in and make the impact straight away.
This weekend you head in only 3 points behind Chelsea, and you've put yourself really back in with a genuine top four shout.
Yeah, and then I know it's with 3 points behind and it's a top four and we're excited. I know we shouldn't be excited challenging for top four at Man United, because it's about winning and it's about trophies, but that's where we're at, and we've given ourselves a chance the last 15, 16, 17 games with a run after when we drew against Liverpool. That was for me a big change, and I think we've since then been okay.
So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer looking to continue his good record this season against Pep Guardiola. They're 15 points behind Manchester City at this stage. So how have they managed to do it up till now this season? How have they managed to beat them twice already?
Well, I think that one of the reasons is that because it is a derby, and because Manchester City with the emergence, Liverpool, there's a certain licking of wounds of Man City without them doing too much wrong. They do seem to be the team that's like, we're doing okay, but it's not quite going well for us because Liverpool are doing so well. And I think that it's just a moment that Man United are kind of getting back to somewhere near where they're going, especially the emergence of Bruno Fernandes. And I just feel that what's happened is that the derby at the moment, it means more to United to beat them, and to go into a game where even if they weren't playing well, they could go into this game and you could kind of get something from the fans, and if you can win it, you get such a boost. I just think that it's one of those games that Man United seem to be more up for, because it's like before, City used to be more up for it because they were lower than United. Yeah. Now I think it's, with all due respect to United, it's changed in the balance, and so it means a lot more to Man United to beat them. I know it means a lot to the fans to beat Manchester United, but I think that for a team, it means a lot more to the team now to beat them.
50th Premier League game in charge for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. How have you seen the team develop under him? Has it improved?
I think it's slowly improving. Obviously, he come in, he had a wonderful start. He got his opportunity, but I think there was bigger problems at United that we all didn't see. And then obviously he's slowly digging them out, and he's starting to get his kind of team together, his philosophy together. And it is going to take time. And I think even for a lot of these other big clubs that are in the same kind of situation, I think they're all going to do the same kind of process of Man United. And I think you can see him slowly just progressing. Now, is that going to be enough for him to keep his job? Or does Man United want to be straight back up there challenging for the title next year? That's going to be the big question.
They've got one of the youngest, or the youngest, starting lineups in the Premier League at the moment, Manchester United. Is that an indication that it is about developing and it is about evolving?
Yes, and certainly we saw with the signings that they made that they wanted to now go for players under the age of 25. Let's say Bruno Fernandes is an exception, but otherwise the idea was that. So Wan-Bissaka, James, players like that, also giving a chance to the academy, and Scott McTominay, for example, or Brendan Williams, all those kind of players. I think that was the idea, and I think Solskjaer was brought in because of that as well. He used to be the reserve coach. He used to work under Fergie in a similar kind of philosophy or idea. But this is not easy. It's such a big club, and sometimes big club can't just respond to, let's do this. Let's bring young players through. Sometimes you need results, and for that you need more experienced players. And I think if they find the right balance, then they're on something good, but they need at least 2 or 3 more windows to buy players.
There has been, and you've all mentioned it, the instant improvement, or the instant performances from Bruno Fernandes, but there's been an improvement in Fred as well, particularly from last season to this, and it's got better as the season's gone on.
What you're seeing when you see Fred now is there's a confidence, and I think that what happens is when Pogba got injured, when he played in the 2, he was more playing as a defensive midfielder. He didn't get to a position where he was getting forward. When you look at some of these, look how far advanced he's in. I think McTominay, when he played with McTominay as well, he was the kind of more the defensive guy, but he's proven that he could do that. I think when he played for Shakhtar, he was more defensive. But now you're showing that with the defensive side of him, he can get back and do this. I think you have to take into consideration this trying to settle where Man United were when they signed him. You know what I mean? The fact that everybody was ridiculing the amount they paid for him. But I think what he's showing now, and you see him again in so advanced area, and this Mason Greenwood should have done better with this cross, that he has got more than enough capabilities of getting forward and creating. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if Pogba comes back and if he's going to play. But like Fred has done everything in respects of getting Manchester United to where they are as well.
And partly because of that injury to Paul Pogba, that long-term injury to Paul Pogba, it means that he's making more appearances, which just gives him the opportunity to play his way into that position that he now has.
Of course. Look, when he had signed, everyone was having big question marks over him. And the one thing as a player, when you play, you want to continuously play, because if you do have that bad game, you want to put it right.
Yeah.
He played, he didn't play well, then he was on the bench, and he couldn't kind of show people what it was. And you can do a lot in training, and people say, oh, he's working hard in training, but you've got to go out there on the weekend and prove it. And we all know what a fantastic player Paul Pogba is, and I'm a big fan, and if he does decide to stay, I think it'd be very hard for Fred to kind of get in that midfield, but he's only fighting for his position, and he's going the right way about it.
Mm.
And we were talking earlier about the bigger problems at Manchester United, and there does seem to be a plan in terms of recruitment, as you said, that young players are coming in. But the one that raised eyebrows was Ode Gunnar coming in. Yes, it's on a free transfer idea. It was the fact that it went down to the wire, that it felt like a kind of scramble across the line just to get a striker in. But that's not really Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's fault. He wanted a striker. He's got a striker, and he's got a striker who's scoring goals as well.
Yes, 3 so far, albeit in the Europa League and the FA Cup, but they all count. And like the boys we say, for his confidence, Igalo, this is brilliant, especially after not playing for a few weeks in China. He was not the first choice or second or third or fourth or fifth, but that doesn't matter. He got there. It's a player that Spurs could do with right now, to be fair.
Exactly.
And I think the way he plays is a different offering to Martial and Rashford. He holds the ball better. His movement is good. His finishing, as we saw against Derby, is good as well. I don't know if he can do that in top games, but at least for now and for what they needed him to do, he's perfect.
Brilliant. I'm delighted for him because, like you say, he could go down to maybe fourth or fifth. And the way people ridiculed the signing, like laughing at Manchester United for signing him, I feel that he will ram that down people's throats simply because...
Do you think it was about Igalo, the player, or it was about the way in which they got him, though? Because it was clear that Manchester United needed a striker. So I don't think it was that. It was more about the fact that it was so last minute. And but
it's so last minute, Kels. But what I was reading is the way they were ridiculing the signing of Igalo, because they were talking about the poor season he had before he left Watford, then going to China, and with not knowing exactly what he's been doing out there, how well it's been going for him. So when you go for him, somebody that was here nearly 4 years ago, whatever it was, then people are saying, is that where Man United are now? And I was hoping that like Igalo could just come in, get himself fit to a certain level, score the goals like he's done in Europe and in the FA Cup, then go on to do it in the Premier League. And so far, my wish has come true in respect of him scoring, because when somebody does something like that, the amount of people that are taking encouragement from him being there and doing that, it's a magnificent thing what's happening for him. So you just hope that he can get himself fit, score more goals for Man United in the Premier League, so that people can see, yes, you can take a chance on someone like that.
So Raheem Sterling looking forward to this game. He's looking forward to testing the test that Manchester United could provide for Manchester City. He's not in the best of form himself at the moment. He's not got a good record against Manchester United. He's never scored against them in 19 appearances, which is surprising given how prolific he is in pretty much every other game.
Yeah, but it happens like that. I unfortunately didn't score against Man United, only in friendlies, which is something that bothers me. I can't believe I've said that out loud. but sometimes
these things you normally gloss over.
Yeah. But the thing is the main thing is that you contribute in the game, and like when you hear him speak, he speaks so well, so eloquently about what the game means, what it means to the city, what it means to the players, and what it means to them having to go there and show personality. And that's the main thing, because I remember Ian Rush for Liverpool didn't score against him for years, and you see how prolific he was. In the end, he did score, but you can never, ever question Ian Rush's actual performance in the game, and I'm sure it's the same with Raheem.
This has been a really good week, or a good couple of weeks for Manchester City. They beat Real Madrid in Madrid, and we can say what we like about where Real Madrid are just now, but they've beaten Real Madrid in Madrid. They got their first trophy of the season. They won the Carabao Cup final. Liverpool have gone out of the FA Cup. City progressed to the next round. This still could be a good season for Manchester City, despite the gap at the top of the Premier League.
I think it could be a great season, and to a point where it could kind of overshadow Liverpool. And you'd hate to say that, because Liverpool are dying to win the Premier League, which we all feel that they're gonna win. But if City were to win a treble in trophies, wow.
Or even just the Champions League.
Or close the gap to,
I-
close the gap to something respectable at the top of the
but
table
not
as
even,
well. Which,
maybe even close the gap, but win the
Yeah.
Carabao Cup, the FA Cup and the Champions League, that's going to be pretty awesome as well. They're 3 cups. So I think you could put that down as a very successful season.
yeah, and suddenly a season that looked like it was going to go off the rails, and there wasn't really much hope for City in terms of progressing in the Champions League, certainly in the early stages of this season. But that performance, that result against Real Madrid, seems to have flipped that on its head as well.
Yeah, switched the mood as well in their own camp, which was always, I think, the biggest thing. And Pep wanted the players to believe that they could go all the way in this Champions League, which, like you said, was not really the case, even when the draw was made back in December. But that first leg was impressive tactically and in terms of desire and motivation. And you've hardly seen the citizens doing that away from home in the Champions League since Guardiola arrived, really. So that certainly has changed something. You could feel it even in the Carabao Cup final against Villa.
You know what? When you look at them as well, Kels, there's a more of a steely determination to them because, you know, for Liverpool to be as good as they've been, nobody could have seen it coming. We knew that Liverpool were going to challenge City this season, but they've gone surpassed what everybody expected. But City, the pressure that they're under now, because the league, you have to say, is gone for them. The pressure they're under to win the Champions League, and everybody says about Pep not doing it since he's had Messi in those teams, I think it's the most pressure they've been under in all the time he's been here. And that is why I think that the players are going to be as focused as they can be. That's why games like this, again, it's as big as this game is, I think their minds are naturally going towards the Champions League.
However, we know that Pep Guardiola doesn't like to let his teams off the what's the word I'm looking for? Off the hook.
Off the hook.
Off the hook in these games.
Yeah.
He wants to go out, whatever competition it is, it's
Yeah.
a strong... He's made 84 changes to his starting 11, which is 12 more than any other side in the Premier League. But it's the fact that he has such a depth of squad to choose from means that you never look... I don't think there's a case this season where you go, yeah, that's a weakened Manchester
And they all
City
know what
side.
they're doing, Kels, when they come in.
I think the important thing is he plays the same way. I think the only kind I've seen different was when he played Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, where we saw Jesus play on the right, and I think everyone was going, what's going on there? But again, their philosophy, their idea was still the same, you know, still pass move. So I think he's kind of inbred in his team that it doesn't matter where you play, you all play in the same kind of way, and he's made players play in certain positions, but they're still playing phenomenal. Like Jesus playing out wide right, virtually playing right, left back near enough. But he had one of the best games, I thought, and he got his rewards in the end as well. Yeah. So he's got that ability to do that to players, but still keep his way. So even in the derby, he's still going to play his way. He may tinker a few bits, but he's still definitely going to play his possession-based style, dominating way.